Welcome to the TOWTalk podcast live stream. My name is Denise, and I'm here with Neil, and we got some things we're going to go over. Our main topic tonight, we're going to be talking about the affordability crisis, and maybe what we'll do is wait and see if how people give people a few minutes to connect. So in the meantime, while we're waiting, if you haven't already, please make sure you are subscribed to our channel. We appreciate that so much, especially, check and see, like, if we're popping up on your feed. Uh, are you playing me in the background?
Sorry, I was turning it on. It just
Okay.
came on.
Okay.
So we're a few minutes behind.
That's okay. That's okay. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. We appreciate that very much. Always like and share, leave comments. We would like to have an engaging conversation today because the affordability crisis is getting more serious and probably going to get worse. But we have some things we want to talk about with regard to that. But in the meantime, let's cover a couple of current topics because when I was the last segment that I put up that I released the other day, when I was editing it, I realized we hadn't mentioned anything about the shooting at Brown University. I went in to get just some updates on on that shooting when I saw the what happened to Rob Reiner, and so I pivoted and I put out a little quick news break statement on that. But it's been a rough weekend. Uh, we've had a rough weekend. We had shootings in Syria, and while that was going on, we didn't get the news fast enough on that before we heard about the Brown shooting, and we had two students were killed there and 9 other students injured. And then Bondi Beach in Australia happened. 15 people were killed, one as young as 10 years old, and an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor. And there's a whole story going on there. And we could get into maybe stop on that for a few minutes to discuss the rise of anti-Semitism that's happening pretty much everywhere. And my husband is Jewish. He's dealt with it all his life. And Neil, do you have? I'm sure you have comments.
I've been dealing with it my whole life.
Yeah.
So, in particular, from our current town board.
Wow, that is.
So it's relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we live our lives and we try to make the best of the situation, but as we see, out there, and it's not just anti-Semitism, it's bigotry,
Oh yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Let's be clear about what this is. These aren't, you know, the people we're talking about don't just hate Jews. Like they hate anybody who's non-white.
Yeah.
like
Non-white,
like
non-Christian,
right. So
non-straight.
I hate, the one thing, as a Jew, I don't like lumping it all in to one category, right? I mean,
Okay.
because we're seeing it in every category. We're seeing it in every bucket. Okay. And I go back to, is it, this is, a lot of this is class warfare, right? I mean, it's about, right, the oligarchs,
Mm-hmm.
trying to pit one group against another group, and we've been seeing this. Like
Oh yeah.
it's now virtually on steroids everywhere. You know.
But I think what's disturbing is to find how many people are okay with that in this country. You know.
Hey,
Ah,
it was bound to happen. It was bound to come out at some point in time, and as I said, it's really disturbing to see, you know, people I thought, some of my neighbors who I thought were, were good people, and it turns out they're not. I mean, just is what it is. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I
I thought.
can't.
Oh, go ahead. Go
Sorry,
ahead. He's drinking his water. No, I
I'm
wanted
not
to.
one to regular. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, who's joining? Who is joining
Great.
us?
Oh yes, I had my friend Ovid join us.
Hey,
Oh,
Denise.
hello, Ovid.
I didn't know if you would be available, but he had talked about wanting to join us for a little segment, so I
Oh,
figured it
okay.
would be a little bit entertaining to have him on and chat with us for a few minutes.
Neil's all
I,
the entertainment.
Ovid,
I'm
I think
not.
you used to own the roofing company, right?
Yep, Serrano Roofing.
Yeah, you did our roof, like maybe 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, that's
So
crazy.
yes, I remember. I remember you. So that's pretty cool. It's a small world, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So we were just kind of briefly discussing the rise of anti-Semitism and some of what comes out of the White House here. Let me see. Oh, now we've dealt with anti-Semitism a long time. I've been married to my husband for 35, 36 years. So I've dealt with it myself and I've had comments and I'd never experienced any kind, racism like that before and I've had people ask me if I shave my head. I've asked people, all that kind of stupid stuff. But JD Vance came out blaming immigration for the rise of anti-Semitism. What do you guys
Right.
think about that? Come on.
Well, I mean, what do you truly expect? I mean, I think a lot of what we're seeing, racism and anti-Semitism, has always been there simmering. It's just that now we have people in the White House that are making it acceptable to show your true colors.
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, I'm Puerto Rican. I grew up in Rockland County, and I white pass all the time. I had people say things in front of me that they just thought I was their relative, because I'm the same color as them. And people, it used to be the kind of thing they would say it behind closed doors. Now they're just saying it out in the streets. They don't care.
Yeah.
It's fully acceptable, and it's always been there. You know, people say I don't remember seeing this. I can't believe it's happened. It's always been there.
Always.
It's been there. It's just that people would say it at the Thanksgiving table. They wouldn't go say it out in the street or at the gas station.
Yeah.
You know.
It's just now it's out in the open
Yep.
and not in a good way. So, so I'm just thinking about the folks in Australia and
Yeah.
how terrible that is. And folks, if I see more and more people starting, getting a few more people to join. But let me switch, make sure I'm in the public chat here. There we go. If you want to post comments, if you've experienced any kind of racism, definitely join the conversation. Let us know what you think. And in the meantime, let me see if I had any other. We're doing a quick current events before we get into our main topic about affordability.
Nice.
Yes. So, I guess all of you have heard about Trump's lovely comments about the terrible, terrible passing of Rob Reiner and his wife over the weekend. You guys got comments on it?
Listen, it's really tragic what happened, and all I'm gonna say is, in this community I worked really hard on breaking the stigma around addiction and substance use.
Yeah.
I helped get Resource Recovery, which is rehab, a
Mm-hmm.
rehabilitation center here in the town of Walk Hill. I basically brought forth the Walk Hill Cares program, which basically is anybody can go into a police station and ask for help. and the police will place them into treatment. That program was merged with Hope Not Handcuffs in our area, which has grown. The amount of work that was put into to breaking the stigma, and when you talk with families, I mean, it's really heartbreaking what substance use and addiction can
Mm-hmm.
do to families. And we as a society really don't do enough. We don't, we really don't treat trauma. I had this conversation the other night with somebody in the with somebody who works as a prosecutor, where they talked about how our justice system is meant to punish people.
Yeah.
And we got into a conversation about the idea that we create more trauma through punishment, right? We create
Oh
more
yeah.
trauma through punishment. And at which point in time, then we're trying to rehabilitate. And what do we end up doing? We're rehabilitating not only the trauma they experienced when they were younger and throughout adulthood, now we're trying to rehabilitate the trauma that was added by the state. And I
Yes.
understand people have this idea, oh, I'm a liberal or I'm whatever. But the idea being, if we incarcerate more people than anybody in the world. You know, I mean,
Really? That I
yeah,
didn't know. Well, I
By
guess.
yeah,
far.
it's we are 5% of the world's population and represent 25% of the world's incarcerated population. Okay, 40% of the incarcerated population in the United States has never even been convicted of a crime.
Let
Okay,
me ask you this. I think I already know the answer to this question, but is that because we have so many private prisons?
yes,
Yeah.
partly private prisons and partly the cash bail system that we have, the for-profit cash bail system.
Yeah. So it's
So it's twofold, right? It's the idea that we place people in prison prior to even trial, right? Prior to we can talk all we want about bail reform, right? You know, you look at those numbers. I mean, are we really that much different than every other industrialized country in the world, where 25% of our where we have to incarcerate 25% of our population, like
that's
like
we.
or
You're
whatever
saying
whatever I said it was
yeah.
we
Oh,
represent 25% of the world's incarcerated
right.
population.
Oh,
That's
oh,
that's
yeah. That's a lot.
but
It's still.
that's still a lot. That's still a lot of people. And we have to we need to figure out a different, like, we put ourselves up as being the pinnacle, right? Like, like nobody
Oh
does
yeah.
anything better than the United States. But here's the thing, every country seems to be doing better than the United States in a
Yeah.
lot
Tell
of
me
these
about it.
areas,
We're
right?
just better at
So
putting them in jail.
right,
Yeah.
we
Well,
seem to
now
just be
now it's
better
a
at putting people in
for-profit
jail.
enterprise. It's a for-profit
So
enterprise to jail people.
it's been
Well, I
that
mean,
way since the
if you
90s,
think
though.
about it, but whether it's healthcare, it's the justice system. You're getting these people. They're going in to, they can't get bail, so they're stuck in there. They lose their jobs, and then they lose their car. Now they lose their apartment. Their families get up on social service. I mean, you have this cycle of destruction to the family unit. That just creates that ongoing trauma, like Neil's talking about.
Yeah.
It's
That.
it's even worse, though, because a lot of prisons, what they have is in a number of states now, and this seems to be a growing trend. If you're incarcerated, now mind you, when I say incarcerated, you may not have been convicted of a crime. Remember, I said 40% of our incarcerated population has never been convicted of a crime. Okay, so the state will charge you for your incarceration, right? So there are a number of states that actually charge you for your incarceration, and you can't get out of jail until you pay that bill. So not only are you not able to get out of jail because you can't afford your bail, right? Then you're being charged for your incarceration. Well, if you can't pay your bill, right, your daily bill that they're charging you, their daily rate, you're never getting out of jail. These are debtors' prisons that were created.
That's insane. Oh my God.
It absolutely is insane. And the private prison, right?
Crazy.
So, in a number of these cases, right, they're private prisons. They're charging the inmates, on top of which, okay, they're charging the state by head count. So they have mandatory. So a lot of these contracts, a lot of people don't talk about this, but a lot of these contracts are predicated on a 98% incarceration rate, right? So in other words, these prisons, these private prisons, have to be 98% full.
That's
So
nuts.
the state is beholden on the idea of we need to incarcerate people to make our quota so that we're not paying these guys extra, right?
Wow.
For right, like it's completely insidious in every way.
Yeah.
And those people who talk about prisons and they talk about justice and they talk, this is not justice. This
No.
is pure unadulterated capitalism on steroids of commoditizing incarceration.
Wow. And
You know, I never knew that. I just looked that up, and it's interesting because what they do is they sit there and they basically charge, and this is most states. So they can charge room and board rates daily for housing and food, medical fees, communication expenses, program fees, commissary items, and disciplinary fines. So basically, before you even get out of jail, you're probably stuck because you can't afford to get yourself out of jail. And if your family
Correct.
can't pay for it, what happens?
Correct.
and just on the average, what do these fees are, or let's say here in New York, like what
New York doesn't have private prisons.
Okay, oh, well, good for New York. But what are these charges on the daily charges on the average? Do you know?
It varies among different states, but I know one of the things where this has come up recently is with ICE detention facilities. So ICE detention facilities, right? Once they incarcerate, a undocumented immigrant, once they incarcerate you, you have to basically earn your phone calls. So you get $1 a day if you work. You have to work. You
Yes,
get
I heard
charged
about the
for your
working.
incarceration, right? And you have to earn $5 to make a phone call because it costs $5. 'Cause then they charge you to make
They
a
charge
phone
you
call.
back.
So right. So in other words, it's each day you earn $1. After 5 days, you can make a phone call because then you have $5. You give it back to ICE, right? And they allow you to make a phone call.
But
Right?
on top
And-
of that, they are also charging the government. Our tax dollars are also
Yes.
subsidizing that. So they're making money on both ends.
Right. So
And
there,
getting free getting labor, putting
Right.
these people to work.
right. So there's only two states that don't charge any fees at all: California, Illinois. New York State does not charge adult offenders, but they do charge minor offenders, and that's for medical and room and board.
Right.
That's interesting. So they could charge kids
For,
or kids' families.
Yeah.
that's it.
It's
That
it's
is
it's as I said, it's really insidious. And now, ICE came out with a new policy, right? That they want to charge that they're going to be charging incarcerated immigrants $5,000 for their own incarceration. So if you want to get out of being incarcerated, okay, you have to pay them $5,000.
Wow. And of course, a lot of these people, they don't have any money to begin with. They're
And
basically
you got to
living
remember, they're
hand to.
picking up U.S. citizens too, so it's anybody.
Oh, that's true.
Anybody that they pick up and they throw you into a facility, you're getting charged $5,000. So if you're an American citizen, you're still getting charged the $5,000 for ICE incarcerating you.
Even if you've established that you're a citizen and they have to let you go, they can still hit you.
Yep, they're hitting their new policy is that they want to hit everybody. Yep.
I mean, the grift is just right out in the open.
Why not? Who's going to stop them?
It's everywhere. It's like candy wrappers in an ocean.
Yeah.
As my
It's
friend likes to say, right? It's an ocean filled with candy wrappers, and all you found was one. So you really didn't clean the ocean, but you
Yep.
picked up one wrapper.
And then you just keep picking up the next, and where does it end?
Right.
I'm just getting the word out here that we're live here.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy, some of the stuff that's going on related to the grift that's happening all over the place.
So it's not just in Wallkill.
No.
Oh no. But we have our own shit going on here. Let's see. Let's see.
Shockingly, we do, unfortunately. Same shit, different day,
Yeah.
you know?
So well, we can mention this later because we were kind of just leading right into our affordability conversation right here as things are going up. I mean, let's go into. Well, you sent me something earlier. You sent me something regarding BlackRock, and
Yes.
I remember hearing about BlackRock.
Yeah. It's not just BlackRock, but BlackRock was one of the private equity firms that has been buying up real estate. You know, so an article was published today. I can't remember where was that article. That article was
Well, you found it on
I would
Instagram.
no, yeah. So there was an article published today about BlackRock and that they go into communities, middle class communities, single family homes. They purchase, a bunch of single family homes, right? So that they own them, and then they drive up the price on other homes in that same community, right? In an effort to raise the neighborhood prices, raise the assessments, raise the prices so that they can then sell their properties for a higher profit. At the same time, it ends up driving middle class communities, people who are already in those communities, it literally drives them out. People can't afford to get into those communities. People can't afford their homes. It ends up driving them out of their homes because they can't afford the taxes. It becomes a complete cluster.
And this, I remember hearing about this back in the housing crisis around 2008. That's where a lot of this sort of began, and it ramped up quite a bit. We had that huge buy off after COVID. Everybody was out buying homes, but I saw a lot of this. When you see a lot of those signs, you see them on the lampposts that says, we pay cash for houses. I think that's a lot of these people or people that work with them, and you see all these homes being bought up. In fact, my neighborhood house, I think that these BlackRock people, they also are buying up a lot of the foreclosures, I would assume, right? From the house.
Buying up a lot of everything.
Buying up a lot of
there was
everything.
There was another article that came out, and so Florida, believe it or not, I know everybody we love to make fun of Florida. Florida is usually the first and foremost when it comes to real estate market, right? In order to as a predictive measure. So that's where a lot of these private equity firms had invested was in Florida because of the friendly laws, and there was a friendly governor there. And that's where they started pulling a lot of this garbage. But now what we're seeing is, and part of the reason why private equity firms do this, right, so that people understand, is that these homes, right, which then get rented, get pooled. Okay, so it's not really BlackRock, right? BlackRock has investors. They're a private equity firm.
Right.
They have investors
They're a huge
that invest with them.
conglomerate.
Right. So what they do is they take these homes and they put them in. They basically securitize them. They put them into bundles and they sell them to investors, right? And investors are buying the revenue stream that the homes create, that the rentals and various other things pay. What we've seen in Florida, though, is that with housing prices coming down and there becoming more inventory, in other words, more people are trying to get out of Florida because of real estate prices dropping because of unfriendly laws, because of insurance, right? Nobody can insure their home. They're finding that these private equity firms are actually starting to lose money. Okay. There usually is a tipping point, right? So they have insurance, right? There
Right.
is insurance. These private equity firms take out insurance in the form of securitized investment vehicles or swaps, right?
Yeah.
As
Heard a
as
lot
they were
about
heard,
those.
right? You might heard a lot about those because that led to the 2008 collapse.
Yes, it did.
And what ends up happening is if that market falls apart or that market gets to the point where it triggers that insurance, that swap, right? You're going to find that Wall Street will need a bailout because all of a sudden the insurance companies will have no money because they'll have to pay out on the swaps, right? Just like they did the last time.
Oh,
The
yeah.
investment companies will make billions of dollars, right? And the insurance companies will all need to be bailed out.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're headed towards right now. We're headed towards a big government bailout, our tax dollars bailing out Wall Street again and these insurance companies because of them basically what it comes down to is manipulating the market, right? That's what they did the last time. That's what they're doing again. They're manipulating the market. They manipulate energy prices. They manipulate housing prices. They manipulate the market, and eventually it comes crashing down. So this is what we're seeing, and this is where we're headed toward. And this is why part of the reason why the Fed is trying to lower interest rates, but at the same time increase capital requirements for banks. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I listened to I haven't listened to him this week. I listened to Max from UNFTR, which stands for Unfuck the Republic. He does a lot of fight. Yeah, seriously, I'm an unfucker. Um, Gotta unfuck the Republic.
I got to subscribe to that one.
Yes, UNFTR, Unfuck the Republic. And he does a lot of finance stuff. That's what he focuses on, and how the way that the regime is handling finances and the direction that we're heading. And boy, it's never good. But he's really clear in how he explains things, and he's basically said just what you did, just what you just said. And he's not alone. A lot of people are saying that.
Yeah, oh, it's
And
coming.
that, oh yeah, basically the AI bubble is about to burst. And
well, there's a couple of bubbles that are about to burst: the
Yeah.
real estate market, AI.
well,
It really comes down to, again, I say it, speculation, right? It's Wall Street speculation. If you're not regulating the speculators, right, this is what ends up happening. You end up with big balloons that pop. And a lot of people criticize, Democrats, and they criticize capitalism, and they criticize, having socialism and all these things. But at the end of the day, I've said it all along. You need these type of regulations because if these are gamblers, right? Like Wall
yeah,
Street is a bunch of gamblers, right? You give gambler like an unlimited, limited like money, and you say we'll bail you out with your losses. Yeah,
oh, whoops.
fuck yeah, they're gonna like go nuts. They're gonna hit that crap stable or that blackjack table, and they're absolutely gonna
And piss
go
all the
nuts.
money
That's what
away.
happens.
And
That's
so,
what
Oh, yeah.
happens. Yeah.
and that's where we're at. And so let's
What do you think about that, Ovid?
yeah,
Well, I
oh,
mean, but at the last downturn, just before that, I was talking to the guy that was writing mortgages above my old office, and I was saying, how are people? Like, well, I'm going into houses giving people estimates, and they got like a couch and a card table in the house. For at the time in 2009, 8, you got a $450,000 house with borrowed furniture in it. I'm like, how are these people getting mortgages? And he's like, well, if I don't write it, the other guy will. So they were just writing these mortgages for stuff people couldn't afford. They're giving them
yeah,
money they can't afford, and they don't care
yeah.
because they're not going to pay the bill.
No, because they're going to sell that off you
Yeah.
know, package it up in the swaps, just like what you were talking about. They'll just package that in with a lot of good loans and
Yeah.
slide in the bad ones. And that's how we ended up in that housing crisis then. And that's where we're going now.
Yeah, that's where we're going
But
now.
and I remember one of the ways they got around this was that they were using the adjustable rate mortgages. So they would
Oh
just
yeah.
advertise at that time, 2%, get a 2% more mortgage, and then like fail to mention that that's like for the first year, and after that you go up to 12%, or whatever it was.
Yeah, but I think also they were telling people, oh, don't worry about it. You could refinance. That was a lot of the stuff they were saying. Oh, don't worry, you'll
Yes.
refinance for a lower rate in a couple of years, and things
Yeah.
exploded. And I don't, I just think the problem is that we don't have the rules where people must be told the truth. I mean, I think that's part
We
of the
don't.
problem here. The guardrails have been removed.
Yes. Yep. Yep. That
So,
was
yeah.
okay, CPFB. So I always get the letters, but this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Okay, I did have it reversed. That was an important agency. They were profitable because they saved Americans billions of dollars, and now you don't have those protections. You can be screwed by your credit companies.
Well, I
And
mean, you got a couple things, education too. Like people go to school, they don't learn finance, they don't learn how to balance their checkbook.
that's
They
true.
come out, everybody, you see people that are working at a store that, really renting an apartment. They're buying a latte every day for lunch, and they're driving a new car with a payment on it. And it's kind of like, basic finance is not taught, and I think that's one of the struggles as well. People don't do the math before they do things. They go, I can afford the payment. But what's the consequences of that interest eating away at the money that's left over? I mean, and I think that's the
Good
issue.
point.
It's not a matter of mathematically I can afford it. It's whether or not I can afford to make the payment. And that's why when you go in to buy a car, they ask, well, how much were you hoping the payment will be? Okay.
Right.
They
They can
want to fit
sell.
the payment to how much money you got left over.
That's exactly what they do. I used
Yeah.
to sell cars. I sold cars when I was younger, and so yeah, I remember that game.
Oh yeah.
You try and fit
and
them to a
and
payment, not to a price.
and there were, you listen, the United States had laws against speculation in the marketplace. We did for a long time. Believe it or not, this country had laws, right, in place that prevented speculation. So they recognized in the early '80s, right, that speculators in the market, just for like, as an example, energy, right, represented 80% of the market for energy costs, right, were speculators. So 20% of the market was people actually buying, right? Like,
Right.
were people who actually needed the energy. The other 80% were people speculating on future on long-term futures and short-term futures. So the government came in and said, no more. Speculators will only represent 20% of the market. The other
Right.
80% will be purchasers. Prices came down, and for a long time we had good pricing, related to energy within the United States, because it really was driven by people actually purchasing energy, right? And and then I don't remember whether it was right around 2000, it was right around Clinton Bush, that they just eliminated that altogether, and we went to the wild west of speculation again, right? And now again we're back up to 80% of the energy markets are speculators. Okay? And so when we're talking about affordability, right, your energy prices are being driven by speculators, not
Yeah.
supply. And you have to keep in mind, speculation is not supply and demand. Okay? Speculation is somebody coming into the marketplace and saying, I'm predicting 2 years out that this is going to be the price. So I'm going to buy that stuff now.
Right.
Okay?
Futures. It's a futures
Right.
market.
And what ends up happening, I mean, this happened. So in the book by Michael Lewis, The Big Short, he talked about this, right? Where there was a group of guys who were like, oh, we're going to get into the energy business. They ended up buying these energy futures. It turned out that the market went down. right? Like the market actually went down. So they were speculating that the market would go up. The market actually went down. They actually ended up with the freaking tankers. They actually ended up with the tankers of gas, and they couldn't unload it. They couldn't unload the gas because there was a lot of supply. Everybody was speculating the same way, right? Like that's what ends up happening. And we have speculators in almost every. There is so much money in these private markets now. Private equity represents so much money now. These guys, these billionaires, these trillionaires, they have so much money. It represents so much of the market that they've bet on everything. They bet on real estate prices. They bet on energy prices. They bet on everything. And as we know with all types of gambling, the house always wins.
The house
Yes.
always wins. Yes.
That's
The house
crazy.
always wins. And when the house wins, that means we all lose.
Yep.
We are all going to be losers in this because what happens is when these guys start failing and these guys start having problems, who comes in and bails them out?
Us.
Right?
Too big to fail.
This affordability nonsense, right, that everybody keeps talking about, right, are speculators in the marketplace speculating on what future prices will be in an effort to screw you, the purchaser. And
Well,
the consumer.
they're at this point they're privatizing everything. Now we have
Yes.
the issues with the housing market. We've got food hasn't come down. Food has gone up.
Same thing. Food speculators.
Insurance
in the
has
food
gone up. We all
markets.
know we've
Yeah.
gone over healthcare quite a bit.
Yep.
And it's the things that you need. You need your health. You need to be healthy. You need to be able to afford healthcare. And it's turned out that the millionaires and billionaires and soon to be trillionaires have discovered, hey, we can make a buck off of that. Yeah.
Oh, they're making a buck off anything they can find.
Here's what I'm gonna say, and this is what's so frustrating to me. We have an administration, and I'm gonna say both sides of the aisle love to tell us this, that they're here to protect us as Americans, right? They want to protect us, right? We're being
You're right
told
there,
we're being protected from immigrants.
Aaron wanted to get in on it.
Okay.
We're being
Go ahead.
protected from terrorists. We're being protected, right? We keep saying that we're being protected. At the same time, right?
We're being
prices are
preyed
going-
upon.
We can't feed our children, right? We can't get health care. We can't, like, people are dying right now. People don't feel protected. Okay? So I'm sorry, this government, right, the United States government that we currently have now, okay, with this administration, doesn't care about us at all. They don't care about people at all. All we are is a commodity.
A commodity.
It's somebody to pay their bills. That's it. Other people's money. OPM.
They are literally
OPM.
OPM. They're literally raiding the treasury in real time, out in the open, like we've never seen before. And
OPM.
Yep. And
Other people's money.
And
Well,
of course,
Here's the thing, though. They told us what they were going to do. Most people just didn't believe them.
we told them too. We said this.
Yep.
We told you too. You know everything between the tariffs and terrible policy.
Yeah. Well, ooh, sorry, buddy.
I keep, it really comes back to, and this is why I focus on local government, right? Because when you talk about local government, you're talking about your roads, your water, your sewer, the day-to-day necessities, right? As the federal and state government continue to choke off, right, the local municipalities. And what I mean by choke off, it's that money that you send to the federal government, that money that you send to the state government rarely comes back to your local government in any form whatsoever. Maybe you get a grant or two, but it rarely comes back in any way. All that money stays with them. And now they're not even doing those grants anymore. Like you're not even getting those grants anymore, right? What you're going to see is you're going to see your water system, you're going to see your sewer system, you're going to see your roads deteriorate even further, right? As less and less money gets to your local municipality, right? Which only is going to mean higher property taxes because your local municipality isn't going to have the money to be able to do the basic necessities, right, that are needed to keep those things operational. We saw locally the county of Westchester, right? They cut every program, they cut every department 5% across the board.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know how hard it is to cut 5% out of a local municipal budget? It's hard. It is really, really freaking hard.
Well, you would know that better than me. I haven't been there to do that yet.
Because you're already running on skeleton crews.
Well, I mean, that all depends too, though. You know, like if you're overcharging your taxpayer and not providing services, and you've got a whole bunch of fat floating around.
Yeah,
You
there's
know,
that.
I mean, it's
Well, that's good if you'd have that, yeah.
well, it all depends if your numbers are correct too.
Well, that then goes to, right, you need to make sure that you have, now's the time you really need to have good numbers, right?
Absolutely.
Now we're entering, you know, like we did this during COVID, okay? And, you know, luckily municipalities came out of COVID not so bad, but now it's, I mean,
Well, now
this
it's serious.
Medicaid thing is getting serious. This
Yeah.
Medicaid thing is going to be a real buster for your counties and your state.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Between
that's
that
gonna be a
and
problem.
with
Hey,
everything
hey guys,
being
listen,
clawed
the
back.
boss just got home. I gotta head.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
yeah, I was
So-
hoping that we would get to talk to you some more.
Yeah. I was
Sorry,
gonna-
guys.
Sorry.
No,
I'll see if I get on the next time when it's earlier.
Okay. All right.
All right, take care, guys.
Ovid. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Ovid.
Poor. That was a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared. I didn't have any question. You know, I was waiting for a break to just kind of have him, you know, introduce himself. It was a little sort of caught us off guard, but yeah, you know, getting back to these costs. I mean, you're talking about between the Medicaid, which is going to, again, that goes back to healthcare. People are already finding out that their payments are going to be substantially more.
Your payments went up 50%.
50%.
Your payments went up 50%. Your payments went up 50%.
Yep.
That's huge. And then
And my husband's his pharmacy plan that he has, which ties in with his Medicare, that doubled. I didn't see that until after we recorded the last our healthcare record. The bill
so
came in. I was like,
100%.
that went up
It
100%.
went up 100. Right. Okay.
No. You know, so yeah, and so that's huge. And so what the Trump's answer is we're gonna give him money. What money to go get a health plan?
Gas prices came down 10 cents. There you go.
Whoopee.
Whoopee.
Yeah, you know, I could talk about that because Stewart's around the block is still charging $3.15 a gallon.
Oh,
And
Sam's Club went down to $2.88.
Yeah, it was like
I was very happy about that.
I think they just pick one price and then they just roll with it through the whole month. But I like to go there because it's just so convenient. I hate going to Sam's Club because it's so crowded. But
again, it's about speculators, right? I mean, it's the idea that these people purchase. You know, one of the craziest things that when I knew that everything was wacky and on its head, right, was when I worked. So I worked for I worked on a bankruptcy job that dealt with energy pricing. Okay, and it used to be, you know, when speculators aren't in the market, okay, the price of oil actually usually will go up in the wintertime.
well,
right?
yeah.
And will come down in the summertime, right? When I worked for this company, okay, it was the exact opposite. energy prices went up in the summer, oil prices went up in the summertime, and oil prices came down in the wintertime. And it all had to do with speculators in the marketplace, right? And the government is giving us a line like, oh yeah, the summer travel season and people are like driving more. I mean, it was the biggest load of horse shit that you've ever heard in your life. Okay? And it's all because they don't want to tell you. They don't want to say, listen, hey, somebody's gambling with your money. I mean, how would you feel about that? Somebody else is gambling with your money that's costing you money out of your pocket. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I feel lousy. I wish but of course we don't know about it until the shit hits the fan.
But
and
I'm
everything's
asking
at-
you. You deal with that. I mean, how do you feel about that?
No, I feel that it's awful. I feel that that this is happening with them because they're gonna fuck up. They're gonna play with our tax dollars. They're gonna lose our tax dollars or blow our tax dollars is more like it, and we're gonna be left with the bill. It's gonna run. It's gonna run up the. It's likely gonna run up. They already have run up the deficit further, right? In this huge effort, Doge effort to cut government and save things, and then they turn around and they've been spending money hand over fist, our money, and doing this speculating as well.
But it's the Wall Street, right? Wall Street is speculating. They're basically what they're doing is they're a gambler at a roulette table. They're gambling, making money, having bets, taking insurance, right? I mean, like this is what it is, right? Like think about this, right? You go to a table, right? You make a bet, you take insurance out on your bet. People do this all the time. Like if you're an avid gambler, you know about taking insurance, you know about like making the bets, you know about these things, right? This is what Wall Street does, right? They make bets, they take insurance out on the bets that they make, right? So that way they know either side that they're gonna come away with something.
Yeah,
right?
they'll make a profit either way.
Because the risk isn't on the person making the bet. Imagine going to a casino, okay, and making bets, and you bear no risk whatsoever, right?
Right.
You keep talking about risk, but who's
Well,
that's usually
the house. They're going to make the money either way, right?
Right.
Their clients are the ones that get screwed.
But here's the thing: they're the ones making the bets. They're also the house.
Wow, it's a racket.
Okay, because the risk is on us as the taxpayer. All the risk is on us as the taxpayer. Okay, because when these guys make a bad bet, who bails them out? Us.
Oh, us.
Right. When these guys make a bad bet and they lose money, who bails them out? Us. We bear all the risk. They are the house. They are always made whole.
With our tax dollars.
With our tax dollars, they are always made whole. So they gamble, they take our money, right? They cost us more money with their bets, right? Their betting is costing us more money, and then at the end of the day, right, when they lose money, we bail them out. So it costs us more money. Everything is about taking money out of our pockets. And then they turn around and say, we don't want to pay taxes anymore. Right? Because
they get a huge tax break now. They've got the biggest tax break now.
And because they're saying, well, we're job creators, right? They give you that job creator bullshit, right? So here they're making bets, right? They're costing us more money. And then they turn around and say, we shouldn't have to pay taxes on any of the bets that we're making, right? My feeling is the taxes are the insurance against the bad bets. That's what it should be.
Yeah.
Right? Them pay taxes so that it's insurance against them making a bad bet.
Right.
And bad business decisions. That's why they pay taxes, to make sure that we all benefit. But no, they don't want to pay taxes. They want us to pay for their bad debts, right? I mean, I've heard John Stewart say it all the time, right? Their gains are theirs, their wins are theirs, right? Their
The
losses are
losses are
socialism,
ours. Or
right?
the,
The losses are socialism. We socialize the losses, and my feeling is that's a load of garbage,
that
and it
is
all
that is right on point. That statement. Socialize the
right.
losses.
And this is why the whole ism thing and everybody talking about social, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, all of it. From start to end, it's all BS, and it's all creating an affordability crisis for all of us. Rents are going up, okay? Healthcare is going up, food prices are going up, everything is costing more money. We have less money to spend on ourselves, right? We have less disposable income. That means that we are no longer have a robust middle class, but we have what this in between poverty and middle class, right? It's just skating by.
Yeah, yeah. And we've brought this up in the past. I would not want to be a Gen Zer right now because they're the killing of education, right? Downgrading professional degrees. Yeah, well, they're no longer considered professionals, so that you can't borrow as much money to get yourself a higher education, which ultimately lowers your income potential, which makes it that much harder for you to live. So if you're thinking about the future, so these.
Actually,
Oh, go
actually,
ahead.
the generation, believe it or not, the generation that's gonna get hit the hardest is gonna be Gen Xers. Gen, hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay.
Everybody keeps talking about the lower generations, right? Your millennials and your Gen Zers, right?
But now you're
And
talking us.
it is us. Because here's the thing, we are getting older, and as much as we love to think that we are invincible, we are not. We are getting older, our bodies are breaking down, okay? And the generation above us, they have defined benefit plans, they have their pensions, right? They have the ability to go into affordable housing, they have the ability to go into assisted living, okay? Our generation isn't going to have that because we aren't going to have defined benefit plans. We're not going to have health care, right? We're not going to have those things, right? The older generations have Medicare. Medicare ain't going to be, right, for Gen Xers what it is for the generation above us, right? That's one generation older than us. The generation that's one generation older than us, okay, right? They're
Those are
going to have
boomers.
right, they have their health care, they have their insurance, right? They have their defined benefit plans, right? We don't have those, okay? The younger generation, they're going to listen. Yes, they're getting screwed. There's no doubt millennials and Gen Zers are getting screwed. Absolutely no doubt whatsoever, and I don't want to discount them. But the Gen Xers, right, are going to be the first generation really in a long time that isn't going to that essentially we're going to end up living with our kids.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
kids are going to end up having to take care of us because we're not going to be able to afford to go into assisted living when we get older. We're not going to afford to be able to do basic things. You know,
That's true. And they're
there's not going to be
already
money for us.
and if you're thinking of Medicare, they're already cutting things in Medicare. This government, they're doing like I saw this a couple of months ago. They're doing a test run in certain states where they were bringing in pre-approval. And I believe it's going to be AI run. So you're going to have the AI deciding whether or not your Medicare surgery, your surgery through Medicare can or isn't approved. AI will do that for them. And
They're not
they've
getting approved for anything.
no, they're taking it back.
Nobody's getting
That's
approved. We're the our generation will, this idea that oh yeah, we're going to be fine. Here's the thing. You want to go into they're taking your home,
Yeah.
right? They take everything from you when you go into assisted living. Okay?
Yeah, you can't have any
Right?
assets.
You're not going to have any assets at the end of the day. This idea of generational wealth, everybody keeps talking, right? We talked about the death tax, right? The Republicans love calling it the death tax or the inheritance tax. Okay? We're not leaving anything to the generation after us. They're not there's not going to be anything to be to inherit.
Yeah.
Right? This idea of inheritance, right? Creating generational wealth, right? Which is what we've been doing for decades now in this country, is building this generational wealth, right? Which has allowed boomers, right, to retire comfortably and to be where they are, right? When they decide to move away from defined benefit plans to defined contribution plans,
That, yeah,
that's
that's what I
it.
had.
That's it. That's gonna end, that ends everything. That's gonna be the game changer.
Well,
We're
that's
not
already
gonna be able to.
happened.
Right. Correct. And
And it's just the next step is no divine plan. Well, if you're part-time, you don't get a plan. You don't qualify for a plan. And so a lot of people, that's the reason why you see a lot of these gig jobs. They're not getting full-time jobs.
right.
And so they're not getting access to any benefits. And ACA is now priced itself right out of reach. We're
And
lucky. I think I'm lucky to be here in New York.
and not for nothing, but you know, schools don't teach, right? They don't teach as Ovid said. They don't teach
They don't
finance
teach
anymore. They
economics.
don't teach civics anymore. They don't teach kids today. They don't even know how to go out and fill forms out online. You know, uh, it it what is happening in this country, right? And how it's being dismantled by wealthy billionaires who don't give a shit about anybody but themselves, right? Um, there was an actor who said today about AI, and I'll get on the AI topic, but I'm only getting on this topic because of it's pertinent to this affordability conversation, right? He said that these wealthy billionaires don't want limitations on AI because that will inhibit their ability to create something, right? And it'll put them at a competitive disadvantage, right? What we are hearing from these people is that any type of regulation at all puts them at a competitive disadvantage. Well, with the speculation in the marketplace, with the consolidation of businesses becoming larger and larger conglomerates, right? This idea of monopolies, right? What we have is we have a system, right, that doesn't protect anybody,
Yeah.
right? And for a government to turn around and say we're protecting our people, none of these fuckers give a shit about anybody but themselves and their own pockets. And that's Democrats and Republicans all the same. Okay? All the
Well,
same.
they're all owned. They're all owned by anyone owned by PACs. That
PAC is a
they're
corporation.
beholding to their donors.
These billionaires, these corporations, right? Everybody looking for a competitive advantage, right? And it's the idea of, oh, well, we want to compete on a world market, so we need this, and here we're just kind of like, okay, it's capitalism. My vote can be bought. That's what capitalism is, right? Everything can be bought, including votes. Supreme Court even said that. Said we want to be capitalists, so
So,
if you want to get paid for your vote, you can get paid for your vote. It's legalized bribery.
yeah. And so it puts the working class, the middle class, even the upper middle class, who are not non-millionaires, it puts us all, you know, in the hole. And we're going to see, well, we're already seeing people, falling out of the middle class. We have a rising poverty level in this country. And particularly in red states. Red states are going to be hit harder. They already are getting hit harder. So what's the solution, Neil?
I I don't think it's about a solution. It's more of recognizing the problem. I mean, as I said, my main concern is everybody's daily life. And in your daily life, right, the most important things to you are your roads, your water, and your sewer, and your family. Okay? And the roof that you have over your head. And speculators in the marketplace have driven prices to outrageous levels, and we need to bring back the rules that we had in place that get the speculators out of the marketplace.
Yeah.
Get back to supply and demand driven economics. Okay? All right. And see, that's the funny part, right? Supply and demand. That is capitalism. What we have
Yes,
now
of
is
course it
what
is.
we have now is a gambler's economy, all right, and crony economics.
Yeah, cronyism, massive cronyism, and
Right.
kleptocracy, and that's the other thing because and this is what can really happen if we don't take back power and start getting our regulations back in order. We're seeing companies like BlackRock is one of them, but other big speculating corporations coming in and buying those assets, energy companies, oil, your electric companies, your propane companies, everything that supplies electric to you. And you talked about what state was it that had is it Tennessee that has their
Yeah.
own power authority? There's like 5 states involved with
TVA,
TVA.
Tennessee Valley Authority, was a New Deal program run by the federal government.
Right. Well,
Hey,
they're looking to the company's looking to buy it. Billionaires are trying to buy it. Go ahead.
did
I'm
you
sorry.
see? I saw something absolutely crazy in the one of the Nordic countries. What they did is they had one of those AI data centers, okay, that they constructed it underground, and they linked it to their energy grid because it produces so much heat. It actually produces energy, so they rechannel that energy back into their grid.
Oh, so you mean they do something efficient that is
Yeah,
beneficial to their society?
right.
Yeah, we're all on our own here. We've been kicked to the curb by this fucking government. This-
Because the government isn't about, as much as they love to talk about defense and protecting Americans, they've basically decided it's about protecting the
that's
oligarchs, the
about, yeah,
billionaires.
it's about protecting themselves.
I mean, so I because a lot of I don't want anybody to think I'm biased. Gavin Newsom said it. He said it himself, right? Like he said it when he said he isn't for the wealth tax, right? He says he wants to be a Big Ten. Well, if your Big Ten is that's automatically off the table, okay, because of the three billionaires that are Democrats, okay, against the millions of Americans that are also Democrats, then what you're saying is um, that those people have significantly more power, significantly more say, and that's who your constituency is. Because you're not even willing to bring anything to the table for a compromise, right? You're a constituency of one,
Yeah.
okay, right? And that's what we see with Trump. That's what we see with a lot of Republicans. That's what we see with a lot of Democrats, is that they're a constituency of one, and that is their benefactor.
Yeah. So so voting is going to really matter this year. Primaries are going to really, really matter. You're really going to want to focus on people who are not tied to these billionaires, and that's through these PACs. There's APAC, CPAC, Heritage PAC, and there's God knows how many others. These are, political action committees is basically what that means, and they are backed by billionaires. They play both sides. They have Republicans and Democrats alike in their pocket, and we need to get those people out, and we need to replace them with people who are not tied to these billionaires, who can actually go out, who are willing to fight for us, for the little people. We're not little, but you know what I mean. Because our middle class is shrinking at a astonishing rate, and it's going to get worse. And I don't really know how to defend against it except through our ability to vote. I mean, those costs don't have to be high. Tariffs immediately put increased costs right away, and that
Well,
didn't have to happen.
I think the idea is we gotta change like no people don't ask the right questions because we are being told what questions to ask. Okay, and
Yeah.
the points that I'm bringing up are very important. How do you feel about the distribution of federal and state tax dollars to your local municipality to help with roads, water, and infrastructure, right? How do we feel about getting speculators out of the marketplace, right? What types of legislation are you willing to sponsor to do that? We heard Hakeem Jeffries literally say, oh, well, no bills came before me as it relates to healthcare. What bills have you introduced?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we need to start flipping the narrative
Yeah.
and getting away from D and R and start questioning these guys and forcing them to answer and hold the position, okay? And hold them accountable for the position that they're in. Because I tell you right now, I am not going to stand if Democrats take power, okay? If they somehow take power, and if I have to listen to, we don't have the votes, or we can't bring that up right now, if I have to hear that bullshit one more time, okay, all those fuckers are gone. All those fuckers.
Well,
are gone. Then we got to
they
vote
got to
them
be
all out.
gone now. They got to get them out now. This is the
But
year.
this is why we have to This is why they need to be primaried. Every single one of them that isn't pushing for these things, right, and to help Americans out, need to go. And this nonsense that I'm getting on Meta and Facebook and Instagram, where they're pushing their propaganda about how they're helping Americans, yada yada yada. You haven't passed the goddamn thing.
Yeah.
House
Yeah,
isn't voting on the health care bill. Nothing is being passed. You're not passing any regulation. In fact, you're deregulating everything.
Yeah.
And you're not right. So I'm done.
Like it's like what? Yeah, you're not making laws. You're just undoing laws.
Right.
And that's when you show up for work at all. It's like you've been on a perpetual vacation for the last 4 months, 5 months.
I can tell you there aren't any incumbents that are up for election next year in my area that I would vote for at this point.
Yeah. So we need some fresh blood, some new people. So we're running over time a few minutes, and I had one other thing I wanted to bring up, which is just sort of unrelated. I just thought it was interesting, something that I heard today, and maybe we'll even talk more in a podcast. But I thought it was interesting. Susie Wiles, she's Trump's chief of staff. She spilled a shitload of tea in Vanity Fair magazine. She She said Trump is definitely in the Epstein files. She said, "Oh my God," she is like
Did
she's
she
sort of
reveal anything that we already didn't know? This is
no, but
nonsense.
she's not
This is
maintaining the
garbage,
lies.
though.
I just
No,
thought
but
it was interesting.
but they're not lies. Everybody knows this. This isn't like, you know, this this is what kills me about this shit. People are talking about it as if somehow it's new information. None of what she said is new. Anybody who thinks it's new has had their head buried underneath some sand. Okay? It's all like, I'm sorry. It's all there. Yes, Trump did some bad shit. He's in the Epstein files. He's still the president. He was still voted by a lot of people in this country to be the president. Yes, we have a pedophile who's a president.
Yeah.
Okay? Right? The only way is if he gets impeached, which the Republicans in Congress seem to be okay with the fact that we have a pedophile as a president, right? And
Yeah.
on top of which, it seems to be more and more Republicans are getting arrested for pedophilia. So, I like,
It's kind of a trend. You know, you,
but this is nothing new. This is nothing new.
no, but
We're not hearing anything that's new.
yeah, we know what we know, but the other side they get, oh, it's a hoax, it's a Democrat hoax, everything's that was the other thing we didn't even bring up on affordability. Apparently now it's a Democratic hoax, which I think is really, well, it's coming out. The polls are coming out. People Republicans who identify as MAGA, I guess it's their support for Trump. There was in April it was 78% support Trump. It's now down to 70. Not that that's huge, but it's huge for MAGA. It's huge, to see that
But
some of them are waking up.
MAGA is like 30%, and as I said, it's no matter what you do in politics, right? 1/3 of the people are gonna love it, 1/3 of the people are gonna hate it, and 1/3 of the people aren't gonna give a shit. Okay?
Yeah.
And that seems to be the stage that we're at. But I can tell you this, 90% of the people in this country don't think anything that's happening is making their lives better.
Yes.
I don't care what, because
I support that statement 100%. It ain't getting any fucking better.
Right. MAGA is saying the same thing. And not only that, MAGA is now dominating the American life. And I'm sorry, my life is about my family. Okay? My life is
As it
about
should be.
my work, right? My life is like, I'm literally just trying to make it through every fucking day. Okay? And every day it's waking up to MAGA and then going to sleep with MAGA. and I'm sorry that if you didn't like Sleepy Joe, right, then
It wasn't up your ass.
then I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you, because government is not supposed to be this intrusive.
Yeah.
Right? I had to listen to the right wing talk about an intrusive government, right? And their Second Amendment rights for the longest fucking time. Now MAGA is in every aspect of everybody's life at all times. It's made everybody's life worse. It's made things less affordable. Our neighbors are getting kidnapped. Okay, like, seriously. I would take Sleepy Joe any day of the week over this. Right?
Twice on
I would
Sunday.
take a sleeping government any day over this. Like do whatever the fuck you want at this point. Just leave me the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But it's like it's in your face every fucking day.
Yeah. No, no.
Just I'm sorry. I'm like done. Nothing that was said in that article that whatever her name is revealed, right? should be news to anybody. All right. The fact that they're making
Well,
it
it wasn't
news-
that it was anything in there that was news to anybody. It was the fact that she's Trump's chief of staff. And she is going against the grain. I mean, they're all sycophants. They're all kissing up to him while he's nodding off in the middle of cabinet meetings, and they're all kissing up. But she's talking. Talking. I think she's trying to save herself.
But they're gaslighting people at the same time. They're not gaslighting people. They're telling you exactly what they're doing, right? Like it's like, we're gonna do this. And then they gaslight you when you say, "Oh, you're doing this," right? Then they gaslight you to make you believe that it's not happening, right? But then they admit that it happened. I mean, look at the strikes, right? It was like 1 minute it happened, next minute he wasn't in the room, next minute he's bragging that it happened, next minute he wasn't in the room. Like, you don't know what the hell to believe these people, because they're just making it up as they go. Who gives a shit? This is who they are. They're liars. They're all liars. They make up shit, right? Just like they do in local politics. Everybody, they're just lying, right?
Yeah.
Like the local politicians here in Walk Hill had been doing it for years. They just lie. This administration just lies. Whatever. That's not why people like them or don't like them. But I think the one thing we could all agree on is that our lives are not better, okay? And that the fact that our communities are being divided by this asshole in the White House.
Yeah.
Okay? When everybody in your community is struggling just to make it through the fucking day.
Yeah.
Just make it through the end of the day and make it to the next day so that you can make it to the next day so that you can make it to the next day. Okay? That's what we're all struggling with. And at the same time, you have this asshole in the White House making it harder for everybody every fucking day.
Yep. And that was their real
Right?
plan all along.
And I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm really just tired. Like, enough.
Well, you're going to have to stay awake for a little longer, because we got to get through this election season. We got to encourage people to get out and vote, because it
I'm a
really
podcaster.
That's
I'm
it.
a podcaster now.
That's what we're doing now. We're here to keep you guys informed. Obviously, this will be recorded and it'll go up on the channel.
And we're a bit over. So
yeah, we're a bit over. So we're gonna wind up. We're gonna wrap it up. But if you haven't already done so, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Just make sure you check to see if you are subscribed. Sometimes if you see our videos and you watch another one, it just shows up in your feed because of the algorithm, but you're not subscribed, so you miss out on live opportunities like this. Again, this is a new thing we started just a couple of weeks ago, where we're live on Tuesday evenings from 7 to 8 p.m., or in this case, 8:18 p.m., where we just kind of pick up some topics. As more people join us, we look for engagement and, maybe answer questions and stuff. But the affordability crisis is going to get worse, and you may have some opinions. You may want to share your stories. This is a great place to do it. Drop a comment. This will be recorded and posted in the next couple of hours. YouTube does that automatically, so you can always come back and tell us your story. And in the meantime, we do appreciate you. Thanks so much for joining us for this little chat. And we will see you in the next broadcast. I've got more content coming, so keep watching. Take care, guys.